Live from WRAL News headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
We're watching massive Hurricane Milton as it moves toward Florida. Conditions will deteriorate rapidly today. I'll show you what they'll expect.
And here in the WRAL Live Center, we are watching carefully as Milton approaches Florida. The waters around Key West growing more rough.
Milton's impact on flights is getting bigger this morning as you take a live look at RDU, the challenge people are facing trying to get out of Florida by air as those airports in Florida will start to close this morning. And people seeking safer ground and trying to get out of the state in one of the largest evacuations for Florida because of Hurricane Milton. Good morning, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
I'm Jeff Hogan. Thanks for making us part of your Wednesday here. Yeah, we'll see the residual effects here at our airport in our area, especially coming off of Helene when we've already had those effects. Let's get to Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. It looks like there's a front ahead of this hurricane here.
It almost looks like there are two hurricanes here, doesn't it? There is an area of disturbed weather out ahead of it. And so already we're starting to see impacts, of course, along the west coast of Florida, a lot of cloud cover, starting to see some rain there and some breezy conditions. But of course, this is Milton right here. Well-defined eye on this very powerful storm. It's a Cat 5 with winds at 160. It is moving northeast at 14 miles per hour. And where it makes landfall, of course, is going to make a huge difference to so many people in Florida. If the storm itself ends up a little farther to the south, it means that the Tampa Bay area will have some serious impacts, but not as catastrophic as if that makes landfall a little farther north. And that was the biggest change that we saw yesterday, is the path slipping a little farther south. Coming up, I'm going to show you a more detailed computer model version of where that may make landfall. But right now it looks like it would be Category 4 with 130 mile per hour winds moving across Florida and then, of course, out into the Atlantic. And again, still minimal impacts, if any, here. Storm surge will be the biggest threat for folks from Tampa down toward Fort Myers, with that storm surge anywhere from 8 to 15 feet. That's going to be devastating. So again, more about that coming up. Zebulon looking pretty this morning. Our skies are clear. Temperatures are chilly. Our dew point is low at 47 and our temperature 50 degrees, and temperature 43 in Roxborough right now and 53 in Clinton. So temperatures are pretty chilly as you step out the door, and it will be a nice mild afternoon with temperatures in the mid 70s. Even colder air is coming a little later in the week. I'll show you that coming up, Ken.
Elizabeth, that 602 looking really good out on the roads this morning, especially if you're just getting ready to head out. No major incidents to report. Let's head outside and show you what's going on in I-40 and Harrison Avenue. This is actually a route to the airport, so if you have an early morning flight getting ready to head to the airport, you will get there on time. This traffic is moving at a nice steady clip. Listen, tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3. You can listen to us anywhere in the Triangle. You have a couple more options as well, 99.3 FM in Raleigh and 96.5 FM in Durham.
People in Florida have less than 24 hours until Hurricane Milton makes landfall. This is a live look. I-75 north in Tampa. Now, this is, I got to be honest, a better look than yesterday because that was packed yesterday. So folks have gotten out ahead of this path of the potentially catastrophic storm headed their way. It is expected to hit the Gulf Coast as a major hurricane, could be a Category 4 when it makes land. Shelters in the Tampa Bay area say they still have space for people and pets, and they warn the time to escape the path of the storm is quickly running out. According to Gas Buddy, at least 21% of Florida's gas stations are out of fuel, and that includes nearly half in the Tampa area. Power line workers are coming from as far away as California to help prepare for widespread and lengthy outages.
And Jeff, here in the WRAL Live Center, I want to show you a couple of things. I'm going to show you what Key West looks like right now, the southernmost point of the United States. But first, I want to show you here on the map of something I want to show you. This is in Columbia County, Florida. That's the area where you're seeing this rest stop where so many vehicles are there right now. One of the things I haven't been able to see is a significant amount of traffic on the roads. But here at the rest stops, we're seeing just so many people out there. Now, I want to show you that camera I just mentioned, the southernmost point of the United States. The waters of that area in Key West, they have been rough this morning. You'll see it kind of splashing against it this morning. We've seen some waves even kind of jump over that monument that's out there right there, as you see. So we're watching carefully to see as the waters continue to grow more rough. I've been watching on a website what areas may realistically have some cameras right now to show you the most impact of Milton at this time. Join me again in about 30 minutes. I'll actually show you the preparations underway in Florida right now.
Thanks, Chris. This morning at 8, more airports in Florida are closing, and that's creating challenges for people trying to get away from Milton, and it's affecting flights in and out of RDU. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is live at the airport this morning. Kelsey, we've seen a lot of people flying into RDU from Florida seeking safety from the storm.
Yes, Renee, time is running out for people to evacuate. Several airports in Florida are closing today. The Orlando airport will be closing in less than 2 hours now. But we'll show you the cancellations that are happening here at RDU. So right now there are 21 cancellations and 3 delays here at RDU, according to FlightAware. People in Florida were booking last-minute flights ahead of Milton making landfall, and we're expecting that this storm will impact airports nationwide. Most of the flights that are canceled at RDU this morning are Florida flights. We spoke with Raleigh native Lauren Tuck. She now lives in Tampa. Tuck was able to fly back home to Raleigh after her original flight was canceled, but some people weren't as lucky, so we'll be keeping track of all of those cancellations throughout the morning. The Orlando airport will close today at 8 o'clock. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live at RDU.
This morning on Today, Dylan Dreyer is live in Sarasota, Florida, and Tampa's mayor will also join the show for a live interview at 7 o'clock.
Today, more help from the state is on the way for people recovering from Helene in western North Carolina. Lawmakers will roll out a $273 million relief package. WRAL's Nick Perlin is live outside the legislative building this morning. This will get some of that money immediately, Nick, to those communities who need it most.
And Jeff, that's what this is all about, getting that money in the hands of people who had their lives completely uprooted by Helene last week and get that money to them as quickly as possible. Now, state lawmakers do plan to make this rollout today, that $273 million rollout for the Helene relief package. Now, House Speaker Tim Moore says it's just meant to address immediate cash needs. And Senator Kevin Corbin says this aid will help unblock roads and get utilities up and running again across 8 rural counties that he represents in western North Carolina.
Certainly, this first round is not intended to compensate for total damages. We're not ready to do that yet. So this is just to kind of help with cash flow.
It's almost akin to the Marshall Plan after World War II in some of these communities where literally the communities are destroyed. And it's a matter of going back in and rebuilding them.
Now, this $273 million is just a small part of the $5 billion North Carolina has in its saving. And we could see more aid potentially going to western North Carolina after the extent of the damage is better assessed. We'll continue to update you on this rollout all day behind me on our website on WRAL.com. Reporting live in Raleigh, Nick Perlin, WRAL News.
Today at 1:30, we'll get an update from Governor Roy Cooper and emergency management officials about the recovery effort from Helene. They will speak at the Emergency Operations Center in Raleigh. WRAL will be there asking questions, and we'll let you know what they have to say in our newscast starting at 4 p.m.
This morning, teachers across the state are coming together to push lawmakers to help schools and educators affected by Helene. The North Carolina Association of Educators is holding rallies at 25 schools across the state. In Wake County, they'll happen at Enloe High School in Raleigh and Fuquay-Varina Elementary School. They want lawmakers to give additional protections for schools, staff, and students in the hardest hit counties. And that includes student meals, staff and teacher pay, as well as school funding.
A family of 4 is among the dead in western North Carolina. Allison Wisley, her fiance, and 2 children, ages 9 and 7, were lost in the storm in Burnsville. Loved ones say the family was trying to escape as the storm approached, but were then swept away by the Tow River. The kids went to North Buncombe Elementary School. In a Facebook post, school leaders say they are heartbroken.
Work is expected to start next week on a temporary fix for the damage Helene did to Interstate 40 at the Tennessee-North Carolina line. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee says the state received tens of millions of dollars in federal funding to go along with the state money to make those repairs. Almost 3 miles of the eastbound lanes of I-40 were destroyed. Governor Lee says there is still a lot of work to be done, but significant work has already been made.
This morning, you'll need to be aware of more kids than usual walking to school. It is National Walk Enroll to School Day. Students at dozens of schools across Wake County will participate. The goal is to promote physical activity and to encourage families to consider alternative ways to get kids to school. A call center in Cary is giving invaluable help to people in Western North Carolina. The important information it's sharing with thousands of people each day.
And as Hurricane Milton barrels toward Florida, some residents are choosing to stay, including one woman and her daughter, after they spent days trapped in Asheville after Helene. And meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner tracking Milton very closely, still a Category 5.
It is likely to be Cat 4 as it makes landfall. And of course, the rain has already started. So if folks haven't left Florida, it may be too late at this point. I'll show you when we may see landfall and at what strength coming up.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
6:13, we're starting here in downtown Raleigh, taking a look at our Jimmy V cam, and it's really cool outside. Lots of 40s showing up here. 48 in Southern Pines, 45 in Lewisburg, 48 Tarboro, 46 South Hill, 54 over in Goldsboro. So a jacket might feel really nice out there, especially, we were just talking about this walk and roll to school. I mean, it's jacket weather out there for kids walking or riding their bikes this morning. Coming home from school, though, 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, looking at temperatures in the mid-70s. It may be a bit cloudy this afternoon, but we're not going to see any rain. We will see some breezy conditions from Milton. Of course, we're going to talk more about what is likely to happen with Milton, which could be an extremely dangerous storm for the coast of Florida. I'll show you what they're expecting coming up. Ken?
All right, Elizabeth, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. I'm just noticing this little bit of a slowdown there around Glenwood Avenue on the Beltline. Give me about 10 minutes. I'll check that out and let you know how much is going to affect your morning commute. There's a disabled vehicle down there on Fayetteville Road. Nothing that's going to make you late this morning. How about this? I-40 and Rock Quarry Road traffic picking up nicely, but moving at a steady clip in both directions. Listen, you can head out this morning. You can take us with you on the radio, 101.5 HD3. You can listen to us anywhere in the Triangle. Of course, Renee, I'll have another update in about 10 minutes.
All right, Ken, we'll see you then. More news to tell you about. More airstrikes this morning in Beirut. As Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warns the Lebanese people that they face falling into a long war. Officials from the UN say Lebanon is already seeing the same patterns and methods as Israel has used in Gaza. They are warning of mass displacement as a result of Israel's attacks. Hezbollah leaders say they want to work on achieving a ceasefire in Lebanon. This is the first time the group has publicly endorsed a truce without the condition on stopping the war in Gaza.
A call center in Cary is providing a lifeline for people who need help in Western North Carolina. United Way's 211 call center was created as a way for people to find their missing loved ones, get rescued themselves, welfare checks, and help for water, shelter, and food. Normally, they'd take 22,000 calls a month for other non-disaster needs. During the height of Helene, they took 10,000 calls a day for help, and they are still going strong. Call specialist Kaylee Mayer knows firsthand having to escape a mudslide in Burke County herself.
For me, it's okay. Like, this is what I'm meant to do. We have a saying, every call is meant for you in some type of way, and I've been blessed enough to see that more times than I care to count.
Yeah, 211 is open and ready for calls 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all year long.
Voices of calm and reassurance. A Florida woman and her daughter have decided to ride out Hurricane Milton after being trapped by Helene in North Carolina last week. WRAL's Michelle McConaughey is here now with more on their story and how the community is preparing.
Yeah, here they go again. Renee, Norma Ray and her daughter Julia are staying put on the east coast of Florida as they wait for Milton to make landfall. They live in Villano Beach, that's not far from St. Augustine. And Norma says at this point, they don't know where to go. She couldn't find a hotel that wasn't hours away, and they feel like it is too late to leave. They know what it's like to be stuck in a storm as well. Last week, they were in Asheville during Helene, and Norma says it took 3 days to cut the trees down to get to them, get them out.
We cut the trees down. They told us that the road was failing and we needed to get out. So we got out, came here, and here we are again, a week later, doing it again.
And they, of course, are not the only ones riding out the storm. Others in their community are packing bags of sand, boarding up, and just hoping for the best. Now, Milton is expected to make landfall overnight tonight. The East Coast, where Norma and her daughter are, they could see 3 feet or more of storm surge.
Just don't know I'd want to tempt fate so soon after the last one. Michelle, thanks. People in Florida are lining up to get shelter animals to safer places. Shelters like this one near Miami are worried about flooding from the storm getting into kennels. Hundreds of people showed up to take dogs in, either through adoption or just fostering them until the storm passes. 6:17 is the time right now. We continue to take that look down in South Florida from the radar view here in the satellite as we take a look at this rest area. First off, I-75 headed north out of Florida. A pretty good sign here, as I mentioned earlier. The traffic yesterday at this time, it was packed. So people have gotten the message, they've gotten out. Although that rest area is pretty crowded right there, the highway doesn't look like it's too bad. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with where the storm is now.
It won't be long before we see rain on that camera as we take that live look. Look at how much rain we're starting to see already here in Florida. We're seeing a line of thunderstorms moving into the southern tip of Florida and just some steady to heavy rain moving in right around Tampa already. Let's zoom in down here and you can see these clusters of thunderstorms. We've already had some tornado warnings down here right around the Everglades south of Miami. So it's already starting there for folks in Florida. This is a look at the storm. It has winds at 160. It's a Category 5, moving northeast at about 14 miles per hour, about 300 miles from Tampa right now. It looks like it will come onshore as a Category 4, and that, of course, is where we'll have a lot of wind damage right there near the center of circulation. But we're going to see a wide swath of folks along the west coast that have to deal with storm surge. It's going to be just devastating. Winds at 130 miles per hour at around 2 a.m. That's overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning. Then it moves across central Florida and, of course, continues to head out into the Atlantic. The change that's happened just in the last 12 hours or so is shifted a little farther south. I'm going to show you what our computer model looks like in terms of where that center of circulation could move onshore. And that's critical because where the center of the storm moves in will make a big difference in terms of who sees the bulk of the storm surge, because it's going to be south of the center that we see most of the storm surge. North of the center is where we'll see the bulk of the rain, but the storm surge is going to be a bigger deal than the rainfall will be. Rainfall will be bad, but storm surge will be even worse. And so if the center is actually south of Tampa Bay, the impact there will still be huge, but not as catastrophic as it could be. So watch that center of circulation moving on out. And of course, notice that it stays away from North Carolina. We take a look at that storm surge, anywhere from 8 to 15 feet up and down, all the way from Tampa to Fort Myers. And if you remember, just 2 years ago, Fort Myers was just destroyed by Ian. And so here's what storm surge is. The hurricane is pushing water out ahead of it. And of course, that comes up as much as 10 to 15 feet above sea level, and that destroys buildings. For us, just a minor tropical storm watch for our offshore waters, where we could see some gusts up to 50 miles per hour. It just means you shouldn't be out in your boat. 5 to 10 feet of inches of rainfall there in Florida, and just a few sprinkles for us maybe next week. We'll likely have some gusty winds tomorrow. We'll start to see the clouds increasing, but that's all we'll see. Some cloud cover later on today, some gusty winds. At the coast, some rip currents, beach erosion, western North Carolina. No real impact from this. We take a look at a beautiful morning that we're seeing here. We're going to have some chilly temperatures. It's cool this morning. 46 on Friday morning, 48 on Saturday morning. So we do stay awfully chilly. And we're going to talk a little bit more about our cool temperatures coming up in just a bit.
Sweater weather.
Yes.
Elizabeth, thanks. Hey, here's what you can expect as you're heading out. Listen, I told you about this disabled vehicle a little bit ago, about 10 minutes ago. Now it's showing up on our sensors this morning. It's on 401 in the northbound lane near the new section of I-540 this morning, not causing any problems for you this morning. So nothing really to worry about. Just thought you should know about it. Also told you about a little bit of a slowdown that I saw on the northern loop of the Beltline. Clearly, it's completely gone at this point, so not a problem to report for you this morning. Listen, if you're getting ready to head out, you can tune us in on the radio. Take us with you, shall we? 101.5 HD3. You can listen to us anywhere in the triangle. You also have a couple more options, 99.3 FM in Raleigh and 96.5 FM in Durham.
Ken, thanks. An informal way to get an idea of where Milton is expected to have the biggest impact on Florida. What the so-called Waffle House Index is showing about preparations for the storm.
Also, a bumpy ride for hurricane hunters, getting a look inside Milton, how their work helps forecasters, not just with the storm, but future ones.
This What's Trending report, sponsored by Rug & Home.
Kelly Clarkson's performance of My Heart Will Go On her show is getting high praise from Celine Dion herself.
Yeah, Ken Smith here now with What's Trending this morning, Ken.
You know, Jeff and Renee, Kelly always opens her show with a song. Well, Dion posted a video to X thanking Clarkson for how she sang that song on her show.
I just saw you singing My Heart Will Go On, and I'm crying again. You were absolutely incredible, fantastic.
Oh my God, I wish you could listen to the whole thing. Clarkson took that song to a whole nother level.
It really is a beautiful rendition, and Celine so moved by this performance. And then you'll remember when Celine sang it at the opening ceremony for the Olympics, Kelly Clarkson was one of the commentators, and she was speechless over that, calling Celine a, gold medalist vocalist. So just both gold medals.
There's a beautiful couple renditions.
Absolutely. Hey, Seth Meyers trending this morning. You'll soon be able to see him somewhere other than late night on NBC. His first HBO stand-up special coming to Max. The streaming service says the special Dad Man Walking will premiere October 26th. A bunch of dad jokes.
I can't wait for the dad jokes. The critics say that this will be the special that his kids are talking about in therapy 20 years from now.
Perfect.
No
Ken,
doubt.
thank you. Hurricane Milton churning closer to Florida as we take a live look at Tampa right now. This morning, the clock is ticking for people trying to leave the evacuation zones ahead of the storm. The rush to get to safer places.
And the rain has already started there. I'm going to show you the radar in just a few minutes, but the storm is Cat 5 right now. It looks like overnight tonight it'll make landfall as a Category 4 storm in Tampa or near Tampa, and I'll show you what that means for folks on the west coast of Florida.
And while many folks are trying to get out of Milton's path, more airports will be closing this morning. Here's a live look out at RDU International this morning. The impact the storm is having on flights there this morning.